gymnastics, and swimming. That's the big four. Other than basket, is there anyone? Am I missing one here? Men's men's and women's basketball, track and field, swimming, gymnastics. Right? Those are the big four, I would say, for American fans. If any other American has a cool story, we're going to get in on it. But for the most part, it's the pool, it's the gym, it's the basketball court, and it's the track. Like, that's where we – but, man.
Well, golf? Didn't you see Scotty Scheffler, Justin?
I missed it. I missed Scotty Scheffler over the weekend. I was too busy watching women's archery.
Fair.
Sorry.
But, golf is kind of intriguing to me since I'm a little more into golf now.
See, golf, not intriguing to me because, well, I mean, if it comes down to it, I'll watch it. It'll be kind of cool. I don't know what kind of golf courses they have in Paris. I'm sure it's very, very nice.
Just more probably links, probably British Open times 12.
But I don't know if it can be links. Links has got to be on the coast, so I don't know if they're.
They could be away from Paris. It's possible, but that's a good question. I could certainly look into it.
But to me, like the Open Championship's over. Golf's kind of like, it's weird. Like in this time of the year, like even though I am not going back to school and I have not gone back to school for a long, long time, you still get that weird like, boy, summer's over kind of feeling like when certain things start coming around. But back to the Olympics. There is something as a sports fan that is just, I don't know. It's outside of anything we do. You throw the Olympics on. I was watching fencing. Yesterday. I don't know do you think it's just like, boy, I want to try to learn the sport. This is fast. It's crazy to me. Not crazy. Fascinating, probably the better adjective there. It is fascinating to me that there are people who dedicate their entire life to a sport where no one other than your parents are watching outside of the Olympics for your one shot at glory once every 4 years. And then you've got me on the couch knowing nothing of fencing, and all of a sudden I watch it for 2 minutes, and it's just like, oh, hey, you got to get your saber up. You got to, like, I love it. I love the Olympics. I love the obscure sports. I would say most out there for me, I watched, like I mentioned, archery. I watched fencing yesterday. What else did I watch? Cross-country biking. That was a mountain biking. I watched that. We took silver. Not too bad.
Quick Google, Justin. It's at Le Golf National in Paris.
There we go.
Relatively new course, opened in the late 80s, but it hosted the Ryder Cup a few years ago. So
okay,
but
good to know.
Middle of France, I almost said middle of Paris, middle of France. So you're right, no link style.
I thought the tennis was cool. The fact that they're playing it at Roland Garros, like on the clay. So I watched
Go Coco Golf.
I watched some doubles tennis the other day. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, it is. Did you ever watch Dodgeball, the movie Dodgeball? Like obscure sports quarterly. That's what I do. Every 4 years, the Olympics come around, and you're just like, how did I watch an hour and a half of field hockey? I don't know, but Team USA's. Watch some water. Water polo is the most insane thing I've ever seen. The most insane thing I've ever seen.
Well, Larry Scott thought so too.
He really did. Maybe
I couldn't help
maybe
myself.
This is what was
I couldn't help myself.
Maybe this was Larry Scott's vision the whole time. It's like, no, there's a reason why the Olympics are 4 years and there's a Super Bowl every year. There's a reason why. But you know, like when you were a kid and like you play like water polo with your friends in the pool, but you were never like in the deep end. Dude, these water polo dudes and women, anybody playing water polo, they're just sitting there swimming and treading water for like forever. And the other one I watched, team handball. Have you watched team handball at all?
Oh, I have not watched. Well, I've in the past, sure, but not this weekend. No.
I have always had this vision, and I don't know why. If I ever somehow, some way stumble upon some crazy new technology and I make $1 billion, which is not going to happen. But Brenden, if I ever did, you know what would, like, we've seen eccentric billionaires with their pet projects, right? Wasn't Paul Allen when he was still alive, the EMP there in Seattle, the Experience Music Project. It was like kind of his thing. I don't think they make money off of it. It was just like, this is what I want to do. I love music. I want to build a music museum in the middle of Seattle. And I've been to the EMP, and it's actually kind of cool. But, like, you get, like, these billionaires, and then they get, like, these pet projects. On top of being a big money college football booster, here would be my sports dream. Genie comes in and says, all right, you have unlimited funds, but you can only spend it on sports. You know what I think would be the best thing to do? I would like, once every 4 years, I'm going to pick an Olympic sport that America does not care about and America does not participate all that much into. Something like team handball. And then I'm going to take some of the best athletes in America, and I'm going to pay them an absurd amount of money. An absurd amount of money. Show up, win the gold medal, and then never participate in that sport ever again. Just to prove, like, whenever we want, because team handball, like, you think about it, right now, if you were to turn back the clock a year, right, and you take second team All-America NCAA basketball players, guys that are maybe going to go to the G League, guys that are maybe going to go to Europe, not going to be first-round draft picks, maybe some two-way players, but they're not playing in the NBA. Second team All-America, college basketball players, and you pay them an absurd amount of money. And you go, hey, guys, for the next year, you are learning team handball. And you show up to team handball with a bunch of athletic 6'8" dudes. And here's the other thing I would love to do. I would keep it a secret. Every 4 years, it would be like Billionaire Justin's secret project. Nobody talks. Nobody talks, and then whether you got to qualify or whatever, but then you just show up at the Olympics and be like, wait. Why on earth is America dominating team handball right now? It's like, we just decided we want to. We just want to. So, sorry about it, whoever's good. Men's field hockey. It's like, pretty sure I could find some dudes. Like some baseball players. Just with just a crazy, insane, like, bat speeds. Like, yeah, we're gonna hit fastballs at you now. I hope you enjoy it. All right. Other than my weird, eccentric billionaire dreams on how to disrupt international sport, here's what we got coming up on the big show. Quarterbacks continue to get paid. Tua's getting paid. Jordan Love got paid. So we are seeing more and more quarterbacks getting paid in the NFL. We will dive into the economics of that because I still look around at this league and just go, other than Patrick Mahomes, what did we figure? Matt Stafford is the only quarterback that actually was on a big-time deal that was an NFL champion. Is it still the right way to go to find a quarterback, pay a quarterback, and then worry about everything else after the fact? Because it feels like that's what the Packers are doing. It feels like that's what the Dolphins are doing. The Ravens did that last year, right? Find your quarterback, pay your quarterback, figure out the rest. Meanwhile, other than Patrick Mahomes, you look at some of the teams that are kind of succeeding, and obviously the 49ers are the other model with Brock Purdy. So we'll dive into that. Some more thoughts of mine from Big Ten Media Day and coming back from Indianapolis. We're definitely going to talk about Team USA basketball. Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton, bench warmers. I'm sure there is some sort of rotational plan. Steve Kerr said they will be playing in the game against South Sudan, but that was an interesting wrinkle that I don't know if I saw coming. Now, maybe this has happened every Olympics and I just haven't paid attention. I don't know, but we'll dive into that. Rumors swirling around Jerami Grant potentially to the Lakers. So we'll dive into that and a whole lot more. We are locked and loaded on a Monday. It is Rip City Mornings here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, so obviously there's a ton of stuff that has got our attention with the Olympics, Team USA basketball, nice win. Um, it was interesting. Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton didn't play. Now, here's what I am assuming, and my assumptions might be just completely wrong, but I would imagine when you have got a roster like Team USA has, you can't run it like a normal NBA team, right? You can't run the roster, or I take that back. You can't run it like an all-star team. The other countries are too good. You used to be able to back in the 90s, and when it was the Dream Team, and when it was 96, and even 2000s. When you used to put together the all-star team, you used to be able to just kind of run the team out there, and everybody would get to play, and everybody would get kind of their 7-8 minutes. Some would get 15 or more, but you would just kind of run everybody out there. Maybe have platoon 1, platoon 2, and run up. Well, we learned that the rest of the country the rest of the world is caught up. I saw a thing in 1992. I think there were 20-some players in the Olympics with NBA experience. Clearly, 11 of them were on the Dream Team. I think it's in like the 70s now. There's like 70 players in the Olympics right now that have some sort of NBA experience. So you have to go in with the plan. You have to go in with some sort of kind of rotation. And I know Steve Kerr said that Jason Tatum's going to play. This is where it's interesting, because I get the fact that you can't play everybody every game. You're going to get beat that way. You have to go in with a game plan, and here's going to be your primary players. Here's going to be our matchups, running probably some sort of even though a bigger rotation, but a rotation nonetheless. And I'm assuming it's probably matchups, but Brenden, Tyrese Halliburton not playing, I kind of get. Jason Tatum not playing, I don't understand.
Well, Jason Tatum is now the highest paid player in the NBA, so there's that.
He is arguably a top 5 player in the league right now. And I get, look, this is LeBron's swan song.
Yes.
This is LeBron's team right now. It's clear. But that being said, how does Jason Tatum not play?
I mean, call me crazy. I play him over Anthony Edwards if it's a position by position thing.
So what I'm wondering is if there's a plan in place of like going in, Tatum, Halliburton, you guys got the night off. South Sudan, you might play about 15, 20 minutes, while maybe Derek White will get that night off, or maybe Drew Holiday will get that. LeBron, Steph, KD, they're going to play every game. And to be honest, that's the star power. That's who people go to Paris to pay money to watch. Could you imagine showing up to Paris, paying all that money? And I don't know how much a ticket would cost for a Team USA basketball game. I imagine it's a pretty penny. And like Steph doesn't play. that would be kind of weird. But no Tyrese Halliburton. Team USA looked good. I'm kind of getting sick of Joel Embiid, though. Never, ever, ever did I think I would be like, can we get more Anthony Davis in my life? But no, Joel Embiid has done it. The one thing that I think it took about a quarter and a half, and maybe it was a couple of wake-up calls against Germany and against South Sudan in those the pre-Olympic games. But the one thing that I think Team USA has got to figure out, and this is just layman watching. Brenden, in the NBA, it's 82 games. It's a marathon. LeBron even talked about how we're used to it being a marathon. This is more of a sprint. And not only that, if you are of any talent or if you are of any success, you know that not only is it going to be an 82-game regular season, but then it is going to be multiple series if, in fact, you want to get to the Eastern or Western Conference Finals. So just like in baseball where there's like concessions. Guy hits a ball to the corner. It's like, hey, left fielder, it's 162 games. I'm going to stop at second. You can cruise control. It's a double. Boom. Nobody needs to kill themselves. We got a long season ahead. I believe in the NBA, there are unwritten concessions of like, hey, we don't need to pick each other up full court all day, every day. We score a bucket, we're going to let you get the ball in bounds, and we're going to go back and play defense because 82 games is a long time for everybody. And there are just kind of those concessions. Well, then you play Serbia, and outside of Jokic, you've got a bunch of Serbians who are playing for their absolute basketball lives. This is their 100% biggest moment ever on stage. And I'm watching the first half, Brenden, and it's like, Team USA, I don't think was prepared for the Serbians to be like, yeah, we're going to be in your shorts. We're going to be picking you up full court. We are going to be playing this as if it is the game of our lives. Because for them, it is. And once Team USA figured it out, well, then it was just like more talent, more depth. They can't keep this up for, I don't even know how long. Is it 48 minutes? They play 12-minute quarters? 40 minutes. They can't keep it up for 40 minutes. And the depth, even without Halliburton, Tatum playing, ultimately got Serbia. But it looked like it took about, 5 or 6 minutes to just be like, yeah, no, you're going to make a bucket. You're going to make a lay-in. You can't do the lackadaisical pull it out of the basket and just kind of lazy pass it to the backcourt because they're not going to let you walk the ball up. They're playing for their lives. And once Team USA figured that out, it was a done deal. Is Jokic tired or does he always just look tired?
Like I said, I think his motivation is interesting to look at from game to game and moment to moment. That's all I'll say with that. Because you know how I feel about Jokic, Justin. I think when he wants to be, he is the best basketball player on planet Earth.
But he looked so tired, and it was game 1 of the Olympics.
Must have been a lot of horse racing in Serbia this time of year.
Well, and there's also this. It might be. There's also this. I think some of these European teams, I shouldn't say European, international teams, not Team USA, because they actually have the one advantage that they have. Brenden, nobody else's country expects them to win every game by 30. We do. You know what I mean? Team USA doesn't win by 30, or Team USA doesn't win by 20 every game in the Olympics. Remember last year they lost to France, last Olympics, 3 years ago. They lost to France. Like, they opened up with a lot, and everybody's like, what's going on? What's the problem with Team USA? Do they even want to be here? Do they even care? Whereas there's going to be some smart international teams who are like, we don't need to beat Team USA in pool play. We need to just get from pool play to the bracket. Once we get into the bracket, then we'll give it a shot. But this is definitely the LeBron Olympics. And,
Steph, it's his first Olympics.
It is Steph's first Olympics. I watched the entire game. Kevin Durant is Team USA's best player, at least in that game. When Team USA was kind of facing some pushback from Serbia, basically they leaned on Durant. Steph kind of came through, especially in the second half. But it's very clear that everything on Team USA is going to be run through LeBron. I hope this works. I hope it pays off. I think it's going to. I do get annoyed by LeBron, but he was the flag bearer, right? He was on a couple of Olympics before, but that was Kobe's and the Redeem team. And then the time before that, he was a young kid and they didn't win the gold. So this is another LeBron legacy play, which we talked about this last week, but I think it's going to work. I think it's going to pay off. Because it's clear, like, everything on this Team USA is run through LeBron. But a nice opening round win. And I'm sure that Steve Kerr and, How nuts is it that I'm looking at the bench and it's like there's Steve Kerr and like Eric Spoelstra is as an assistant coach, and I think Mark Few's there too, but like how weird is it that like yeah, the assistant coach might be the best coach in the NBA.
It's true.
I mean, I know Steve Kerr's got the rings, but it's like that assistant coach might be the best coach in the NBA. But I'm certain there's some sort of plan in play. But I don't get the starting of Joel Embiid. I've seen enough. Put now maybe it's just you want Anthony Davis in the second group because that's where Team USA is going to win this gold medal, is the second group. You know what I mean? You look at all the other teams they're playing. Probably, if you are of any basketball knowledge whatsoever, and I'm not saying I am, but if you are of any basketball knowledge whatsoever, you can take a look at, well, you look at Serbia, it's like, okay, they got Jokic. I was watching Japan. Japan was playing Brazil. And I was like, oh, that's Hachimura. I know that guy. You watch Germany. It's like there's Schumpert. Who's the other? Thiel? Is it Thiel or Thiel? How do you?
Tice, you mean?
That guy. Not even close. Not even Thiel. Tice. I was like, oh, yeah, I know those guys. But then you get to the bench, and you're like, okay, yeah, don't know any of those guys. Zero, zilch, none, nada. Meanwhile, Team USA is like, here comes the bench. Yeah, those are top 25 players in the world right now. And then you bring Anthony Davis, former MVP candidate, who nobody outside of Wemby, more on Wemby here in a moment, can guard. And even still, don't know if Wemby can guard Anthony Davis in international play, the way the rules are set up. And that's where, if you looked at the game, Team USA won all their runs because it was like, yeah, at some point, Jokic has got to sit down. And is it Bogdanovic? I think Bogdanovic was on Jokic and Bogdanovic, they got to sit down. Second group comes in. Team USA is like, yep, here's some more NBA All-Stars. Good luck stopping that. So, I'm tired of Joel Embiid. Doesn't look like he gets it. I don't want to sit here because maybe it just might be his wiring. I'm not going to sit here and say Joel Embiid doesn't care. It doesn't seem like he cares all that much. It's really frustrating to watch on a Team USA thing. It's like, dude, you do not have to play 38 minutes. You have to play 17. Can you just play him hard, please? Other things for the Olympics. Brenden, you want me to get hot international take? I'm watching France. Now, France has Wemby, has Rudy Gobert, and has Nicolas Batum, and I think Evan Fournier. I think those are their NBA guys. Am I missing anybody else from France? Reece Shay's not on the team, I don't believe. But I'm watching France play on Saturday morning. Why they do not go 8th grade basketball and just throw the ball straight up and let Wemby catch it and score a bucket every time, I do not know. Who else is on France?
A couple guys that have been. So you already said Gobert, Fournier, Batum, Wembanyama. Bilal Coulibaly is a rookie from last year.
Okay.
8th overall, he's there. Frank Ntilikina used to be in the NBA. He's there. So there's like 6-7 guys with NBA experience on that team.
And it's probably tough because I would imagine, much like with Team USA, some of these international teams, Nicolas Batum's been on Team France for, I think, the last 4 Olympics.
40 years, you mean? Yeah.
He's been there for the last 4 Olympics. Rudy Gobert, I know, has been on Team France for like the last 3 Olympics. And those guys have put in the time. And I know Wembanyama is young, but I'm watching. Nobody outside of Team USA is going to be able to stop Wembanyama if you just throw the ball straight up in the air. I'm not kidding. When I say 8th grade basketball, I'm saying we've all, whether it's 7th grade or 8th grade, and you had the one kid, he hit the growth spurt before everybody else, you dribble the ball down, and you just go, throw it up in the air. Big guy catches it, mouse in the house, boom, lay-in every time.
No one but
Wemby can do that in the Olympics.
Yeah, no one but the Americans could match their height.
Yeah.
But just because...
So I'm watching, but they're not doing it. I'm like, what are you doing, France? Why is Wemby not touching the ball? every single possession.
It's true.
And it's because of there's not political things, but like, when I say political, I'm not talking about Democrats and Republicans. I'm talking about like, this guy has earned his spot and this guy has paid his dues. And it's like, I don't care. That guy's 7'4" and can do anything on the basketball court. He's getting the ball every time.
Right. And, speaking of Nick Batum, Justin, just because we threw out his however many Olympics, did you actually see that a former Blazer set the Olympic record over the weekend?
I did not.
Rudy Fernandez, first player ever to play in 6 Olympics. So
he's still playing for Spain.
Nick Batum is more like an elder statesman, if we're going to call Rudy Fernandez the old man. So I apologize to Nick Batum because Rudy Fernandez is still going, man.
You remember
6 Olympics? That's nuts.
You know how I make everything back to college football. You and I have seen our fair share of spring games, right?
Oh,
yes. And over the years, you learn very fast. Spring game performances do not translate to regular season performances because I have seen my fair share of the Oregon spring game where it's like, oh my God, that guy he's going to be, and you never see him ever again. That was like Rudy Fernandez like 6 Olympics ago. Remember Rudy Fernandez 6 Olympics ago? And we're always like, this guy is going to be a multiple-time NBA All-Star. I was like, no. Really good in the Olympics. Olympic rules really cater to his game. Not going to be an NBA player. But he was one of those guys, right? It was like, how is this guy not a starting guard on every NBA team right now? But yeah, Team France, what are you doing? Throw the ball to Wembanyama every single time. Brenden, I have tried my best to not get on the Wemby hype train. I've tried my best.
Saying there may have been a reason why the Portland Trailblazers drafted a, quote, Wemby-sized deterrent.
And everybody did, right? That's how Alex Sarr goes number 2 overall. It's because you're going to need somebody over 7 foot.
Who can move well on their feet.
Dude, I'm watching Wemby in the Olympics. Now I watched him play a handful with the Spurs, and they obviously brought him along slowly. In the NBA game is not the international game. I just talked about. Dude, I'm watching Wemby in the Olympics. I don't know how anybody's going to stop him for the next 6 years in the NBA. I don't know how it's going to. I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship every year. What I'm saying is, if he's not the league's leading scorer for the next 6 years, Popovich doesn't know what he's doing. Hot take. Guy's a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of Fame coach, one of the greatest coaches of all time. If Victor Wembanyama is not leading the league in scoring, if he does not have the highest usage rate of anybody in the NBA, because the ball should be in his hands at all times, because there's nobody can stop him.
If he stays healthy.
That's with everything, yeah.
Yeah, sure. But no, I completely agree. I think, the health.
He took a ball against, who were they playing? It might have been Germany. I think they were playing Germany. Might have been Brazil. I'm not quite sure. It was early in the morning on Saturday. I went to Stapleton the night before. I was still a little foggy. By the way, Chris Stapleton, awesome. But Wemby gets the ball down, reverse spin move. Brenden, he's outside of the restricted area, jumps straight up and dunks it from outside of the restricted area. And I'm like, how's that guy not get the ball every single time? Why are they still running things through Batum and Gobert? What are they doing? Give him the ball every time.
Batum's the elder statesman, man.
That's what I'm saying.
He's got that. Or even Fournier. I mean, like you said, Fournier couldn't even crack the Knicks rotation. But hey, in Olympic play,
I don't know if he torched the United States, but he was a factor in the Tokyo Olympics.
Oh, he was a thorn. I'd say a thorn.
A thorn is a very apropos, which we said we were going to stay away from using the apropos. But you know what? I feel like we should bring it back.
We took a break on it for like a good month, so I feel good about it now.
You watched second half of Team USA.
I did.
Yep. How are we feeling?
A lot more confident than we did, because I was signed up under your thoughts that there were some concerns. I saw them have doubts or not doubts, but just saw them not play up to their capability 4 years ago, and I think that's part of the reason Greg Popovich is not back. I think there's a lot of reasons for it, but
Do you think, because the games 3 years ago were so weird.
they were.
It was weird travel, weird, no fans, obviously masks everywhere. We were still dealing very, very much with COVID. I think there was, even though a lot of these guys like Dame and all those like signed up to be on Team USA, I think there was a good hesitancy of like, should we really be going to Tokyo? Should we really be going to the Olympics? It was only a year after, right? The whole COVID thing. It was a year.
Because it was summer of 2021 is when we
and so obviously spring of 2020. But so it was still kind of weird in some parts of the country. Some parts of the country completely moved on. SEC was playing football and they did not care. But you think that maybe had a little bit to do with it?
It did. I mean, I just remember there being a real narrative out there that Team USA didn't meet their expectations. Take away all the extra stuff. And I just remember a lot of people being like, hey guys, Steve Kerr's his lead assistant. And I think it's kind of interesting that a few years later it changed. And the roster largely changed. Justin, you look at the roster 3-4 years ago, I think Bam had a bios on the roster again, but like Dame, Jerami Grant, like those, just a few more, but like the roster's changed. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think they'll be fine, but they need to play someone who's got more than just Jokic. No disrespect to Serbia, but,
we'll see what happens when they play France.
Yep.
We'll see what happens when they play Germany.
I mean, do you think they can handle Wemby and Gobert together? Team US, I mean, I'm just saying.
I think they can because of the depth and because I watched France. France didn't look like they know what they're doing because Wemby's not touching the ball every single time.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
Maybe they're just preparing for it, Justin. Don't want to put it on film.
All right, speaking of preparing for it, transition coming. Oregon State getting camps underway this week, preparing for the season ahead. Obviously, two very, very different seasons, but we dive in to our countdown to kickoff as we go on campus next. 620 Rip City Radio. All right, not only is football season right around the corner, and we're going to get you an exact number here in a moment. You know what else is right around the corner? Oh, school for the kids. That's right. And it's important for students to have the tools they need for a successful school year. And to that end, we have partnered with our good friends at Lazy Boy for the annual Stuff the Bus school supply drive. So now through August 19th, donate a backpack or 10 miscellaneous school supply items at any of the 6 local Lazy Boy locations, including Salem and Eugene, and you could receive up to 25% off your Lazy Boy purchase. Some exclusions do apply. And then the Salvation Army, well, they will distribute and donate you to local families in need. And as always, thank you for your generosity. All the details on the community page at ripcityradio.com. All right, countdown to kickoff continues. I am back. I'm back from Indianapolis and Big Ten Media Day. I have a couple of thoughts on that. I know I mentioned a handful of things on Friday as well, but a couple of other thoughts as I am now back from Indianapolis. Plus, something that Oregon State's dealing with that I don't know is going to be continuing on into the future. 33 days till college football kicks off. Camps get underway as well. We go on campus. Brenden, are we losing quarterback competitions before our very eyes? Is NIL and the transfer portal not completely ending quarterback competitions, but making them more and more rare? I bring this up because Oregon State is going into the season, obviously a very uneasy season to say the least, but also going in, new coach, a completely redone offensive line. But as far as I know, they don't know who their quarterback is quite yet. Or maybe they do, but they're not saying. Because there's still Ben Gulbranson, right? He's still there. Won a lot of games, by the way. Who else is in the mix?
Yeah, so a couple more transfers are in the mix. Got a kid from Idaho, Giovanni McCoy.
McCoy.
Came in after winning Jerry Rice Award, which is given to the top freshman in FCS. So, you know, some
That's a very specific award.
Well,
the top freshman in FCS.
Yeah,
it's such a I'm sure it's going to be.
Well,
it's
no,
prestigious. It's named after Jerry Rice, but it's oddly specific.
Yeah, Cam Ward won it a couple years ago.
Incarnate Word.
Yep, when he was at Incarnate Word. Somebody, another player that I'm just drawing a blank on, but can sling it. We'll spring.
They should call that the Transfer Portal Award because everybody that wins that award is going to be in the transfer portal.
Take off and go to the next level, right?
Going to be gone. There's no way he's playing here next year. Coaches, like Heisman, sometimes coaches will try to campaign for their guys. The Jerry Rice Award, coaches are actively anti-campaign. Like, you don't want to give him that. He doesn't need that award. He's but anyways.
He's in the mix, but he looked a little FCS to FBS transition in spring. Could be a little tougher.
It happens.
And then my pick, my favorite for the job, is Jabari Johnson, the 4-star transfer from Missouri, out of Tacoma, Washington. So I like him a lot.
Do you believe, because let's be honest, like last year, while Jonathan Smith said it was a quarterback competition, we all knew that it wasn't. It was DJU's job. Just like the year before that, Dan Lanning said it's a QB competition, but we all knew it was.
Where's Ty Thompson playing right now? No, I mean just like in general, like if
Arizona.
If he was,
he's Arizona Wildcat.
Yeah. No, I just meant like in kind of a joking fashion. If people truly thought he was competing with Bo Nix, who's in the NFL right now, to start that game.
Yeah.
Ty Thompson being the NFL.
Well, that's why I bring it up, because I think Oregon State, they actually have a QB competition going on right now. I think, like you said, there's favorites. But I do think that when Trent Bray's like, we're working on some things, we'll let you know.
It's also a new offense, right? So Beavers, no more pro-style stuff, right? We're going to be spread, all that, and that's not yielding to the quarterbacks Oregon State has had in the past, 6'4", 5. Yeah.
But I look to the transfer portal now because I was thinking about that. Like Dan Lanning in 3 years has never had a quarterback competition. He said there was, but that was Bo Nix's job. Right. It was it. Bo Nix wasn't transferring in without being assured he was going to be the starter. And I think about things like Russell Wilson went to the Pittsburgh Steelers knowing he's going to be the starter. I know Justin Fields is there, but the deal was done. And the same thing now in the transfer portal. These quarterbacks, now I'm not saying they're guaranteed to start every game all season long, but none of these quarterbacks are transferring. Dylan Gabriel knew, I'm not going to compete. I'm your starter. I'm going to Oregon. They got Dante Moore. That's crazy. But I'm your starter, and Dan Lanning has essentially said as much because Dylan Gabriel was at Big Ten Media Day. He's a leading Heisman contender, and Dante Moore is going to be redshirting this year. In an NIL transfer portal world, quarterback competitions are going to be more and more rare. You know what I mean? Like, Washington looked like they were going to be having a quarterback competition. You lose Michael, but Will Rogers is their quarterback.
I know Oregon State.
Like, Will Rogers coming in from Mississippi State with 4 years of experience. He's their quarterback.
Right. I know Oregon State's closer to us, Justin, but look up to the north and the east. Who's going to play quarterback for Washington State?
That's a good question.
Right? Cam Ward gone. I mean, so, Beavers and Cougs in that regard, same, a Will Smith in the empty house in Fresh Prince, where it's just like looking around like, you gonna play quarterback? You gonna play quarterback? So,
But it's like USC loses Caleb. It's like Miller Moss, their quarterback. Right?
You learned his name this last weekend, didn't you?
It's kind of a done deal, right? And so I don't know. I'm not saying entirely. It was just a thought I had of like, for years and years and years, sometimes they were shams, sometimes they were actual real. But now with quarterbacks basically becoming high-level free agents.
And hired guns.
And it's like, no, the quarterback competition is over because they're being paid now. Nobody's getting paid more than quarterbacks. Matt Rule, the head coach of Nebraska, said as much. He said, it's going to cost you $2 million for a quarterback. He said the quiet part out loud. Now, I don't know where exactly his numbers are, but I've heard close things about maybe the former quarterback in Eugene. 1.6. That's what I heard. But Bo Nix was brought in. He was going to be the quarterback. When DJU came to Corvallis, while Aiden Childs got his one series every whatever, he was going to be the quarterback. Speaking of Aiden Childs, he's going to be the quarterback at Michigan State. Right?
Don't remind Beaver fans, Justin.
He didn't transfer to battle it out. He transferred to get an NIL check and to, like, Cam Ward's going to be the starting quarterback at Miami. He is. There is no more competitions anymore. And it's interesting to see how coaches are going to deal with that now in the future, because I think head coaches love quarterback competitions.
So let me ask you this.
They love them because it gives the media something to talk about, and it's all. But like,
do you think there's something where we can see in the future, Justin? Because I could see a situation, because I still think the kid was really talented, like where Aiden Childs is really good and Michigan State's still really bad. What's to stop him from being like, oh, yeah, Ohio State, they need someone to play right now. They can play for a playoff because some disrespect given. Jonathan Smith ain't taking that team to a playoff for 2 years.
Well, I talked to Andy Staples about this, and then he was on the show on Friday.
He was, yeah.
And I was like, what does he need to do? And he was like, the same thing he did at Oregon State. But everybody looks at that and goes, it's going to be a 3-year rebuild.
Yeah, totally.
It might be a little faster if they got some NIL stuff, but look at what the Big Ten is now. Now you're Michigan State. You're not just having to keep up with Michigan, Ohio State. It's Penn State, Oregon, Washington, USC.
Because brand-wise,
good luck with all that.
Yeah, it's just hard to keep. The only team you've got an edge on is UCLA of the new incomers, I think, or it's even at least.
In the Big Ten, if you were on the outside looking in, you could be third best, fourth best. Now, if you're on the outside looking in, you're seventh best in the Big Ten. Welcome to 2024, boys and girls. We've got hour number 2. Joel Gunderson's going to join us. We got stuff we saw on the internet, and maybe some more sights and sounds from Indy when we come back on 620 Rip City Radio. It is 7 a.m. on a Monday morning. Justin Myers with you. Team USA began group play with a big dub over Nikola Jokic and Serbia, 110-84 behind Kevin Durant's 23 points. LeBron James also dropped in 21. The other story, though, Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton did not play coach's decision. Steve Kerr says that Jason Tatum will definitely be playing against South Sudan on Wednesday. The Dallas Cowboys lose star defensive end Sam Williams to a torn ACL in practice. And fall camp for college football begins this week as Oregon State get underway in Eugene and Corvallis as we are 33 days away from college football kicking off. We have got football happening this week as well with the Hall of Fame game on Thursday. Friend of the program from Scoop Duck, Joel Gunderson, joins us in 20 minutes, but hour two of Rip City Morning starts right now on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. Hopefully you are having a fantastic Monday. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend as well. I am in a great mood. I know it might be a little gloomy Gus outside. It might be a little rainy and drizzly outside. Does not matter. As I mentioned in the update, Brenden, did you know that last week, as we wrapped up the show from Indy, last week was the last week without football until February? That's right. We have football coming up this week. We got preseason football happening on Thursday. Yeah, it's a Hall of Fame game. And you think Caleb Williams is going to play? It's Texans and the Bears. I would be shocked. No, C.J. Stroud's not going to play in that game. Does Caleb Williams play? Do you run him out there for like a series just to go, hey, Bears fans, here's your number one pick? But yeah, we've done it. We did it. We made it. It's here. Last week was our last week without football. Now again, preseason football is the Red Baron pizza of football, right? It's not great, but in a pinch, you'll take it. Were you ever a Red Baron pizza guy?
Yeah,
or were you a DiGiorno's? Or were
I think there are some Red Barons in my freezer right now.
You have Red Barons in your freezer right now?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, I guess you have also younger siblings around. Because like in the frozen pizza world, there are three. There is the Stouffer's French bread pizza.
Oh, those are clutch too.
There is the Red Baron, which you could get like 47 for $1. And then there's the DiGiorno's.
Never was a big DiGiorno. We've also got like I forget if it's at Costco or if it's like a.
Does Costco have? They have a frozen pizza.
Singles, like little mini
okay.
Singles, which are quite nice when you're just like feeling for a snack and just want like the equivalent of like a slice of pizza. And I crush those. So
you get those
Red
Costco's.
Baron. Those Red Baron singles, they're solid.
But yeah, that's like preseason football. It's Red Baron. It's Red Baron pizza. It's not real pizza.
Yeah,
it's a cracker with some sauce and some cheese. But if you close your eyes, squint enough, and you're like,
yeah,
it's like.
Does it compare to, American Dream or the Muddy Rudder or,
no,
it's like it is what you don't get me wrong. I feel, and this is.
But if you went, say, I don't know, March, April, May, June, most of July without pizza in your life, and somebody says, hey, I got a Red Baron for you, you're going to be like, thank you so much.
Okay, so then by that logic, you must mean, because this is a great rabbit hole we've fallen into on pizza. By that logic, you must think spring football is nasty, school, giant make on
Yes,
yes.
it is. School cafeteria pizza is spring football. It's not real pizza.
Yeah, so you must think spring football is just the pits. And spring football, then fall camp, we're like, all right, we'll appease you with like a Red Baron.
Can I tell you something that is amazing? Something that is amazing. And I don't know if you can relate to this because you grew up in school in the internet era. information was exchanged. Now, not exactly social media era, but internet era. Information was exchanged. Like emails were a thing, right? When I was growing up, there was no email. Email did not exist until I got to middle school. In elementary school, we had pizza day. How is it in a world where there was no internet, where there was no email, from coast to coast, top to bottom, sea to shining sea in this great country, everybody had the same pizza at lunch in elementary school? How? How is it possible? How is it possible that every lunch lady or lunch person in the entire country had the same pizza recipe? Because I see some of these things, like they'll be like pictures, and I'm like, what does this remind you of? And it's like, oh, that's elementary school pizza. And it's like, yeah, that's in like Youngstown, Ohio, and that's in Shreveport, Louisiana. And it's like, how did Winston, Oregon have the same pizza? There's no internet. I'm assuming there was no cafeteria workers convention where they all just everybody just had, and it wasn't like, I think you had like almost like the corporate, like didn't they like contract out lunches?
I was in the both. So no, and then like yes, like for certain things, like and even my brother. So like somewhere along the line, I want to say like high school, they started doing a thing, and Sherwood still serves quote, and I say quote, Domino's pizza, but it is a mass-produced version that is more whole wheat crust, tastes a little different, a little thinner. You don't get the good garlicky butter crust, So, like, we always found it fascinating. In high school, it's like you see the Domino's pizza boxes, but you go to Domino's pizza tastes a lot different than how it tastes at school.
See, we had our cooks, they made it.
And our cooks made some things. It was just certain things like pizza or...
Well, because I think like earlier,
maybe pizza was cheaper to contract out at that point. It's possible. Pizza's pretty cheap.
But yeah, it's just fascinating to me that in a world of no internet, in like, in 1989, when I was in third grade, in Miss Turner's class, shout out to Miss Turner, we would win like Monopoly money for like good behavior, and then you could trade them in for Teddy Grahams. You have Teddy Grahams? Teddy Grahams around?
Yeah.
They're like the goldfish of my generation. We weren't into goldfish. We were into Teddy Grahams.
Yeah, cinnamon were great.
Teddy Grahams were legit. But anyways, little did they know, feeding us a bunch of crackers filled with cinnamon and sugar, that's not healthy. Anyways, what were we saying? Yeah. Spring football is the cafeteria pizza. Like, I'll take it. Don't get me wrong. If you were to throw in 1992, you would throw a cafeteria pizza right in my face, I'm going to crush it, and I'm going to smother that bad boy in ranch as well. But it's not real pizza. It's not real pizza. Preseason, that's Red Baron. Then, like, obviously your regular season NFL, your high-level college, that's your best. That's your Ken's Artisan. That's your Muddy Rudder. That's your American Dream. Thursday night Maction, Domino's, right? It's on. It's good. It's there. Hey, pizza in the break room. What do we got? Domino. I'll take it. But yeah, we've got actual football actually being played on Thursday. I am pumped up. We're going to talk to Joel Gunderson coming up in a moment. I mentioned this on Friday, and it was not much in Big Ten Media Day surprised me. It was a lot of coach speak. It was, I guess, Deshaun Foster's opening comments. That surprised me. We're UCLA. We're in Los Angeles.
Oh, that it was funny because
that's still a thing, by the way. That still happened.
Like you and I certainly.
That was not AI.
No, it was fun.
I saw it.
It was fun to pick it apart on Thursday, and you and I were talking about it a little bit then, Justin. That just like, at least he came out and said, "Yeah, the internet's gonna get me on that one." Like he tried to own it.
Afterwards, going like, "Oh boy,"
but it was bad, dude. Like it was like. Oh.
I do have a little bit of sympathy because I have.
Like, did he pass speech 101 that like you? And like I remember you telling me, Justin, you didn't. You said you nailed speech 101.
Speech 101,
just like
crushed.
Like for me, it's not surprising neither one of us did.
I crushed Speech 101.
Come on,
So much so,
Deshaun.
it changed my life forever. I told you this. I took Speech 101. Professor Claire Ferreras pulled me aside and said, what is your major? It should be communication. Changed my life forever. Here I am, still talking to you in my 40s. She doesn't know that, but Professor Ferreras is still there in Monmouth at Western Oregon. Changed my life forever. Always appreciate it, which is why I always remember her name. But I have also done radio shows where I thought, I've got this. I don't need to write anything down. And then something goes wrong. And then the dead air starts getting longer and longer. That's what happened to Deshaun Foster. What I just did right there. You were looking at me like, are you
Yeah,
having
I'm like, wait, are you
You're
doing
like,
a
are you
bit?
having a stroke or are you doing a bit right
Yeah,
now?
I caught on about halfway through. And I'm like, oh, okay, gotcha.
But no, it's like, I feel like he went up there like, I got a plan. And then joke failed. And then it's like,
I think you nailed it.
What's my backup?
Yeah, I
What
think
is
you nailed it on Thursday when you said the joke didn't land. And that was the best
And didn't know what to do after.
Yeah, like you've said this a lot of the time too, Justin. It's like every fighter has a plan until they get hit in the mouth.
Right in the mouth.
Deshaun
And-
Foster had a great thought in mind.
It's like, I'm going to make this whole joke because obviously we're UCLA and we're new to the Big Ten.
And
And,
the whole
you guys
room's
probably
gonna-
don't know much about us. We're in LA. And nobody laughed.
Like the whole room's gonna laugh. We're gonna have a great getting into this.
They're
Oh.
going to
Oh, okay.
chuckle
Well,
and guffaw. And
yeah, I'm just really, really happy to be here. Any questions?
Yeah. But anyways, and I'm going to talk to
Classic.
Gunderson about this coming up on the other side. I think the biggest surprise for me, I thought there would be some resistance to Oregon and its style coming into the Big Ten. Or if not some resistance, a little bit of like, that's cute. Pat on the head. Everybody from Adam Rittenberg, who we talked to on Friday, to Doug LeMaurice, who's covered Ohio State football for 20 years. Everyone's like, Big Ten loves this. Big Ten country is pumped for Oregon football. And yeah, Washington and USC and UCLA. But the Nike cool, like, Oregon we always thought we were kind of the cool kids, but it always felt, and I say this as a small town kid, it always felt like, are we small town cool kids? Right? I thought I was a cool kid. Then I went to college, and I'm like, I am not cool. These cool kids do some crazy stuff. Like, I think for Oregon fans, like, yeah, we think we're the uniforms and the Nike and the Phil Knight, and we think, and our stadium's kind of cool looking, but like, is Big Ten? No, Big Ten. They were like, this is huge. It's a huge deal, and that was maybe my biggest takeaway from my time in India is talking to all the media members who are there in Big Ten country every single time is like, yeah, no, we are pumped for this unique
the Big
college
Duck,
football
of course.
brand. Say that again?
Oh, so the Big Duck, of course.
I thought the Big Duck thing was going to be like, they're like, oh, no, that's funny. Yeah, they were pumped.
Everyone you talked to that we had on the show, no one had anything but positive things as far as the impact with it.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know if there was going to be resistance, but I thought it would be oh, yeah, that's cute. Pat on the head.
Not really.
It's adorable, little Oregon, but we play big boy football here. Remember the Titans? And it's like, one or two championships. That's AA. All right. We play AAA football around. That's North Carolina? Yeah. It's Virginia. We play AAA ball. That's what I felt like. But it wasn't. It was like, this whole thing's kind of cool. All right. Speaking of kind of cool, hey, tomorrow, Ticket Tuesday on Rip City Radio. That's right. The winning streak stays alive. Exclusive tickets to the Hillsborough Hops all season long. Listen to Rip City Drive each and every Tuesday afternoon for your chance to win. Get Hops tickets now. HillsboroughHops.com. Joel Gunderson, Scoop Duck, joins us next, 620 Rip City Radio. All right, Big Ten Media Day wrapped up on Thursday. Oregon's local media day down in Eugene gets underway today. Then guess what? Practice starts, and in 33 days from now, Oregon will take the field as a member of the Big Ten, taking on Idaho at Autzen Stadium. Joining us now to get pumped up about the season ahead on all things Oregon, Big Ten, and uniform releases and everything else that college football brings. Friend of the program from Scoop Duck, Joel Gunderson, back on the Big Show. Good morning, Joel. How we doing?
Hey, go Ducks, Justin. Good morning to you.
You know, not even that can trigger me today because I am so excited about the season. Much like with NIL, much like with the 12-team playoff, and much like with all the other grumpy old man stuff that I don't like, but I've realized I was fighting against the wind, and I went full Chief Joseph, right? I will fight no more forever. I might have to give up on my hatred of SCO Ducks. I mean, I'll never stop my hatred, but I might have to give up my fight of SCO Ducks. The kids are overtaking me. I don't get it. I don't like it. But you know what? I don't get Doja Cat either. So maybe I just need to just accept it.
Much like a majority of the older fan base had a hard time accepting moving on from the Pac-12. You don't have to enjoy SCO Ducks. I certainly don't. But sometimes we just have to embrace change and know that it's going to happen.
Which is great you brought that up. Speaking of change, I mentioned it last segment. I also mentioned it on Friday. Joel, I was there in Indy on Thursday, and I will say my biggest takeaway from Big Ten Media Day, other than holy cow, when they say it's bigger, it truly is. It was in a football stadium. There's a lot of teams in this conference. You forget just how many teams are in the Big Ten. I think my biggest takeaway is, as an Oregon fan, and I don't know if you feel this way as well, we always kind of thought, like, oh, yeah, national brand, Oregon's the cool kids, but are they really? And I went to Indy, and what I would think of as maybe snooty Big Ten media member or maybe old school college football media member are all pumped about this, about the Oregon and the brand that they are bringing to the Big Ten. It seems to be very much encouraged and embraced coming into the conference. And I was worrying if it would, because as we know, Oregon does have a style unique to their own.
Yeah, and, I heard something on Friday, and I want to give credit where it's due. I believe it was Eric Scopel at the Austin Audibles podcast. I thought he had a really good point, or he was there as well, and he said the vibe he got was sort of similar to what you're feeling. Like, you kind of expected Oregon to come in and there to be a lot of eye rolls and snide comments about, here comes this big Nike brand coming in. A lot of programs in the Big Ten are not equipped to win the whole thing. I mean, it is really, truly, it has been a top-heavy conference. You have Ohio State and Michigan. Penn State is right there, maybe just a notch below a true title contender. Then you've had a lot of mediocrity throughout, and his point was he kind of got the vibe that there's a lot of sense from other coaches and other media around there of like, hey, there's another bully coming in here that can maybe knock out this Ohio State, Michigan propaganda and complete overhaul and overrun of the conference that there's been. Because you have to think, if you're a Maryland or an Illinois or one of those brands that is, you're kind of perpetually hoping to be 7-6, 8-4, that you don't really truly have a chance to go toe-to-toe with these schools on a year in, year out basis. But by bringing in a school like Oregon and, hopefully down the road, a school like USC, because I like to see USC good. I want to see them be a juggernaut as well. It makes it more fun. By bringing in this new blood that in theory and on paper should be able to go toe-to-toe with these big guns, it helps spread it out a little bit. And it gives a little bit more parity. And while Oregon's going to be certainly at the top to begin with, I think it's fun for people. And look what's happening in the SEC. I mean, go down and look at the schedule where we're going to have a Georgia-Texas battle in the middle of October, and it's a conference game. And I think a lot of this first year, this excitement from media and national groups is because we're getting to see things that we didn't think were possible 5 years ago. And, you might get an occasional out-of-conference matchup to start the season like that, but there's so many new fresh matchups. There's so many new fresh rivalries that could be built and recruiting and all of it. And I think right now it's a lot of kumbaya and, hey, let's see where this is going to go. And trust me, within 6 weeks, Oregon's going to be one of the more hated teams in the conference because that's kind of just what they do based on the way they go about it. I mean, that duck that went through floating down the river was so genius because it was in your face, but in the most non-threatening way. It was a moment to go out there and be viral without drawing extreme attention to it. It was done in a different way. And it's fun in the beginning, and trust me, it's going to turn and people are going to hate Oregon. And that's just kind of, I think they embraced that a little bit while doing so with a, oh, shucks look, because, you know, they don't have an intimidating mascot, but you put a 30-foot inflatable duck out there, and the initial response is great. And you know that when you're beating a team 48-0 at halftime, that's going to turn quick. So it's fun to start. I think there is a lot of sense of like, hey, new blood, come in. This is going to be fun. And then give it some time. And then, you know, if Oregon's as good as we think they are, that narrative will switch real quick.
Joel Gunderson from Scoop Duck joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. Not only does Oregon have a new starting quarterback, but he is the Heisman odds-on favorite as we sit right now. I think he's at plus 700 somewhere in the odds with Dylan Gabriel. And I was talking about this morning, Joel. It's interesting. For years, and not every single year, but for a long, long time, you would go into training camp, you would go into the month of August, and there was always quarterback talk. Is it a competition? Now, obviously, not in 01 because everybody knew it was Joey, not in the years with the junior and senior year of Justin Herbert, but there was always kind of, is there a quarterback competition? Chip kind of manufactured a couple out of thin air, but Joel, in the NIL era, in a transfer portal era where these are business transactions, Dylan Gabriel left Oklahoma and made a business transaction to come to Oregon for a lot of reasons, some of which because of Marcus Mariota, but a lot of which because of NIL opportunity, and now he's the high. Are we going to see less and less, if not almost, not a complete elimination, but rarity of quarterback competitions because these guys are hot commodities now, and they're almost like they're making business transactions instead of actually trying to win jobs?
I think externally you'll hear a lot less of it's every man's for himself. You know, we're always going to be competing. No one's job is safe. I mean, those words always ring hollow when coaches say it because, you know, there's very clearly on any given team a hierarchy of players that, yeah, they have a spot. They're not going anywhere. I would hope internally at every school they're not promising jobs. They're not luring kids in on false pretenses of, come sign this NIL contract, come here, and you're the starter, because that is the fastest way to completely shatter a locker room. And to me, the biggest hurdle with NIL that coaches have to deal with is fractured locker rooms because, trust me, 18, 19, 20-year-old kids are going to be talking about how much their NIL package was. And the last thing you want is a divided quarterback room or a divided offensive line room because one guy got this and one guy got this, and maybe one guy's package included a guaranteed starting spot. I mean, so I think you're going to hear less outwardly of, hey, it's an open competition. Maybe it's a little bit more of like, I'm going to focus talking about this guy. I'm going to keep saying nice things about the guys who we all know are the backups, but I'm not going to come out and outwardly express it as Dylan Gabriel's job. I mean, we all know it is. And one of the things that Oregon talked about and Dante Moore talked about was he came here knowing, and after Gabriel had signed, so he came knowing that he was not going to be the starter, which he probably could have gone to most schools and become the starter. So I think this is where it takes a coach, and I've talked about this when I've been on in the past, and it's really become this kind of, insane narrative the last few weeks where Oregon has unlimited NIL, and that's the only reason they're recruiting well. You have to have a coach and a staff in place that can connect with players. And part of connection is being able to have real, frank conversations with them. And part of that is, hey, you're a 5-star wide receiver. We need you, but guess what? You're not going to come in and have anything guaranteed. Okay? My job is to go out, and Lanning has said this. He goes, I tell kids, my job is to go out. It can, show you why we're the best place for you. And then the next stage around to get someone better than you to get your job. And it's your job to keep it. So if they can keep that going internally, and I think that's where Lanning really shines as a recruiter, yes, of course he has a phenomenal NIL budget to work with, probably top 10, top 5 in the country. No one's denying that. But if you can't be authentic and really explain to kids and break it down to them and their families what they're walking into, you're going to have a Texas A&M situation where they signed the highest class in college football history, and within a year and a half, almost everyone in that class was gone.
They're all gone.
It was broken promises.
Yeah.
It was broken promises. It was, monetary things that went wrong. So, yeah, great. Go out and give everybody all the money and give them all the promises in the world, and you're not going to have a team in a year and a half. Or you can be real with people. You can have a great NIL package, and you can be authentic with them about what they're walking into. Then you can build a juggernaut. So let's hope that's where it's going. I think it is. But, yeah, I think you're going to your initial point, yes, you're going to start hearing a lot less. It's an open competition. Everybody's here. No one's job is safe because they have to balance the egos a little bit, but they also have to know that there are certain guys in the room where it is their job. So it's a delicate balance. This is the hardest time I have to imagine that it's ever been to be a college football coach, and that's why they make all the money they do.
I'm wondering, from the NIL situation, and I joked about this last week because I found it interesting that there were other fans essentially trying to use Oregon's unlimited NIL budget as like a criticism. And I'm like, so you just told a bunch of 17-year-olds that Oregon has unlimited money. Now, obviously they don't, but it's like, hey, don't go to that party. All they have is hot chicks and beer. You want to come to our party. We've got substance, right? It's like, well, do you realize that's kind of the opposite of what you want there? But how much of it to Oregon's advantage, Joel, because you mentioned Texas A&M, which I'm assuming is probably about 15 to 20, oil barons. That's just how I see it in Texas, right? Oil barons wearing fancy cowboy boots and sport jackets, as opposed to Oregon. Let's be honest. Outside of Dan Lanning, the buck stops with one guy, and it's much easier to kind of get everybody on the same page because it's one guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're telling me that SMU doesn't have just as much, if not 10 times the amount of money that Oregon would have if they wanted to do it. I mean, you're right. And
but it's 30 guys though, It's 30 guys who are all alphas whereas like Oregon, it's like it's one guy. That's the money guy.
Right. And this, the thought of like, well, once Phil goes, it all goes away. I'm pretty sure there's a nice locked in contingency plan for once he's no longer with us. But no, it's silly. And you're right. A lot of it just kind of sits in Oregon's favor. It's like, okay, well, if you're going to spread false information that we have unlimited money, great. Let's get these recruits in the door so they can kind of see what we're all about. And once we get them here, then we can show them what the substance is. It's these same people that when Oregon has a commit flip, they had a couple this weekend that they lost. Guys that I know they wanted to keep. Then the narrative is, oh, well, Lanning sucks at recruiting. He can't recruit. It's like, okay, well, what is it? Do they have unlimited money where they get everybody, or does he not know how to recruit? So it's just keyboard warriors. That's all it is, that don't really know what's going on. And, does Oregon have a great NIL package? Absolutely. But more than I think just straight money, what they do is they have opportunities. So if you're jealous that a major alumni is the co-founder and creator of Nike, well, go out and get better alumni. Create this. Great opportunities. Oregon has been so smart and progressive in their NIL with Division Street and Ducks Rising, and all of that is tied into what their alumni have done and have gone on to do and the opportunities that they create. So much of it is not just about what am I getting in cash up front, because yes, a lot of players are going to get a nice offer up front, but what can you offer me when I graduate? What can you offer me when I'm done playing in the NFL potentially? So being progressive in that sense, is that unlimited? Sure, you could say it's unlimited because of the opportunities. It's not just, oh, I can go and say I need $10 million per year to play here because that's what Oregon's offering. They're not doing that. They're offering a nice, generous opportunity up front and then the opportunities down the road. So they're being creative about it, and that's what you have to be.
Joel Gunderson of Scoop Duck joining us here on 620 Rip City Radio. I do get kind of lost in the weeds with recruiting, which is why I like to bring you in, because you are our recruiting guy, because it's like, oh, you hear about, oh, they're ranked this, but that's 2025, that's commitments. These aren't it's hard for me to you get a lot of mishmashing of like the current roster, transfers coming in, commits for 2025. As we are sitting right now, and I realize this is on paper, this does not equate to anything on the field, but on paper, the roster of the 2024 Oregon Ducks, is this, from a rating standpoint, the most talented roster Oregon's ever had?
Oh, without question.
Okay.
Without question. I believe, depending on what recruiting site you go to, I believe their blue blood ratio, which is the amount of the roster that's built up on kids that were 4 or 5-star kids coming out of high school, is 79%. Which has got to be at least 10 points higher than it's ever been based on any roster that Oregon's ever had. Because you go back to, I think you and I are kind of in lockstep that 2012 team was probably the best overall Oregon team that there's ever been.
Yes.
I mean, even more so than I think the 2014 team. You line up body for body, athlete for athlete, position group by position group. This year's team would, I believe, I don't want to say dominate. That sounds a little bit too harsh, but what Oregon is doing is they're building up a roster of guys that will go on and succeed in the NFL, where those teams were smartly, because at the time Oregon couldn't recruit necessarily with the other guys. They built their roster on team, versatility, and speed. Now, what Mario started and what Lanny's continuing to do is say, hey, it's great to have guys that are fast, but let's go ahead and get guys that are bigger than those other guys. Oh, and stronger as well. Go out and get big bodies and mold them. And so what they're doing is pound for pound across the board, they're getting guys that are just flat out bigger and stronger than they used to be. Then you bring in coaches as well that know how to develop them. So, there isn't a DeForest Buckner or an Eric Armstead on the defensive line, more than likely, a guy who's a top 10 pick on the defensive line. But you have 9 guys that rotate through the defensive line that were 4 or 5 stars coming out of high school. Behind Armstead and Buckner, they didn't have anybody. That roster was filled with guys that went to Sheldon or Vancouver. There were 3-star kids that worked their butts off and were beloved at the time because of the work ethic and the success of the team. Those guys wouldn't even crack the 40s on this year's roster, and that's what it takes. And it hasn't come together yet, and that's the knock right now is Oregon hasn't won the big game under Lanning. Well, they're still putting this thing together. They haven't even played the start of a third season yet, and they've already put together, inarguably, the most talented and deep roster that the school has ever seen. So to answer your question, I don't think it's close. From a overall 1 through 112, top to bottom, this is the most talented Oregon team there's ever been.
By the way, as you mentioned those certain types of guys, just shout out to Eric Cheney, who's a good friend of mine, Junction City, hard-nosed to kickoff team guy. Shout out to the chainsaw, Eric Cheney, old hack out of Junction City.
Look, we love the Brenden Bears and the Alex Ducey's and guys like that, but it's like,
I do.
They would not. Well, and they wouldn't be recruited by this staff, and that I think kind of shows where it's at overall. It's like those types of guys aren't getting looks. Those are the guys that come now as walk-ons, because and that's a big underrated part of what these schools like Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State and now Oregon are doing is not only are your scholarship players top to bottom a lot better than they used to be, you're getting guys that are taking walk-on roles or preferred walk-on roles, which are a little bit different than walk-on, that would go on and play and be scholarship players at a lot of other schools. And so you're building the depth from your on-field guys that are going to play on Saturdays, but you're also building up a heck of a roster of guys that they're going against every day in practice that make you better. Because, these teams are getting better Monday through Friday or Sunday through Friday. And then Saturday, you just kind of show up and you do what you do. But by having a complete roster of guys that are just, I'm going on a tangent now, but it's kind of just the overall picture of like, it is so far and away when you look at body type and if you go strictly off of high school rankings, which, fair and unfair, and some of these guys work out, some don't. But overall, top to bottom, when you look at it, it's really kind of mind-blowing how far it's come, and even just a couple of years.
Joel Gunderson, you can follow Joel on Twitter or X at JGundy85. You can read his stuff, and Scoop Duck, you can hear from time to time on this particular program. Hey, Gundy, 33 days, bud, and it all starts, but obviously practice and the hype and the rankings and the Big Ten, everything. It is going to be nuts. It is going to be a crazy roller coaster of a season. Happy to have you on board from time to time on this show throughout that roller coaster ride. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll look forward to talking to you again soon, bud.
Sounds good, my friend. Look forward to it.
There you go. Joel Gunderson, everybody. We have got stuff we saw on the internet to wrap up hour number 2 here on 620 Rip City Radio. All right, time to wrap up hour number 2. Before we do that, I do want to let you know about the importance for students to have the tools they need for success. Trust me, as a handy person, it's all about having the right tools, Brenden. That's all it's about. And we need to give the kids the right tools for a successful school year. That's coming up. Partnered with our good friends at Lazy Boy. Annual Stuff the Bus School Supply Drive now through August 19th. Donate a backpack or 10 miscellaneous school supply items at any of the 6 local Lazy Boy locations, including Salem and Eugene, and you can receive up to 25% off your Lazy Boy purchase. Some exclusions to apply. The Salvation Army will distribute your donations to local families in need. As always, we thank you for your generosity. All the details at the community page at ripcityradio.com. All right, stuff we saw on the internet. This is an interesting story that producer Brenden found, and this kind of piqued my interest because I was just on a flight. As I just mentioned, I was flying to and fro the great Midwestern city of Indianapolis. Didn't see much of it. Saw
Makes sense.
Saw the fountain in the middle of downtown. I think that is the Veterans Memorial Fountain. That thing is cool. Did you see that when you were in Indy? That whole roundabout with the big giant. That thing was awesome.
I'm assuming you saw the big giant blue hotel that you can see from pretty much everywhere, or maybe not.
I did not.
Okay, must have been behind the stadium from where your perspective was.
I flew in very late at night. I saw that because my hotel's right by that big fountain. Or monument, I guess there's some fountain elements to it, but it's a monument.
I walked through all that when I was in Indy, yeah.
Stayed the night, got up, got breakfast at the hotel, Uber to the stadium. I was in the stadium till I got to the airport. So the stadium's nice.
Sounds about right.
Stadium's nice. Spent a ton of time there, but it was a work trip. Wasn't there for sightseeing. It was there for work. But I did fly Southwest. More on that coming up later on in the show. Apparently, Southwest, which flies to a lot of places like Phoenix and Dallas and Vegas, which apparently have been experiencing as always in the summer, a massive heat wave. I think Vegas was at 7 days over 110, something like that. No
Warm.
Big deal. I'm going in 2 weeks. I'll pack some sunscreen there. But according to this story from Channel 13 in Vegas, Southwest Airlines has been dealing with extreme, intense summer heat, so much so, soda cans on the planes are exploding. Now, I would imagine...
You ever heard a soda can explode?
I have. Let's not say a soda can. I think every degenerate like myself has bought beer that was not cold and said, let's put it in the freezer. You forget about it, explodes in the freezer.
Under normal I've had where
That's where I've heard. Is I put beer in the freezer. We're doofuses. We forget about it, and then explodes in the freezer.
Yeah, so it's rare, but I've had one time where a case of soda, maybe the case got knocked around while it was being shipped or whatever, and then once it goes, I've been in my garage and just randomly went punk. And
really?
When it happens, when you've done nothing to expect it, it's very shocking.
Now imagine all of that on a plane.
No thanks.
Sitting on a plane.
I'd be thinking it was something else popping, Justin.
Yeah.
Just gonna throw that out there. But
now I wonder again. I'm no scientist, so I don't know. But it's talking about exploding soda cans in the summer heat. But once you get up in the air, the heat, it's not hot up there.
Different pressures.
Is that? I wonder if it's just a change. You go from super hot to normal, and then just the expand, contract, explode. But Southwest says intense summer heat waves have caused cans of soda to explode on some of its flight, even injuring some flight attendants. Oh, that's not good. No passengers were hurt or affected by the bursting cans. At least 28 flights. That's a lot. Reported, 28 flight attendants have now reported being hurt. Yeah, that's nuts.
Just imagine you're sitting there, Justin, enjoying your breakfast, and just pop.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd
I wouldn't be enjoying my breakfast because I'd be on a flight. What do you think about people who bring food onto planes?
Oh, I just assumed you're sitting in first class where you get real food delivered to you.
I sat next to, and the reason I sat next to these people was because there was an exit row seat open because Southwest, you choose your own seat. It's open seating. And that was the advantage of being solo on this one. Because, families, like, you got to find seats together. It's like, ooh, exit row. It's a single. That's mine. Sat there. People next to me, full-on burgers and fries lunch before we take off.
Bring the full Five Guys. Or no,
Yeah.
Five
I don't
Guys
know
or
what
just
it
burgers. Gotcha.
Burger place from the Indianapolis
Okay, got you.
International Airport. And they're, Brenden, full burger and fry.
At least
Pre-flight. Like, we're boarding. And they have got burger and fry, tray table down, just.
Yeah, it's pretty up there. Still not as bad as the dude I've seen eat a full rack of ribs next to me.
You told me about the ribs guy.
Yeah, where he's just. So there's like literally sucking on his fingers, and you're like, all right, dude, like I feel it, but airport ribs, cool. Like, but yeah, but I can see how that would be like, oh, okay, you guys just couldn't eat in the airport, okay, got it.
Also, Southwest, at least the flights I was on. And I know Chad he flies Southwest all the time. I'm an Alaska guy.
Me too. I have to say that I am.
They do the beverage service different. Southwest. They essentially they take everyone's order first. And can I tell you, I don't like it. I don't like it. And now what it does is it clears up the aisle, I believe. So they'll sit there and they'll take everyone's order, and then they'll go back to the galley, I think it's what it's called. And then they'll put all the drinks on trays and come out and serve, as opposed to the one big giant drink cart that takes up the aisle. So if you have to go to the bathroom and it's beverage service, you're kind of SOL. But it gives you false hope because they come in and they say, "What would you like to drink?" And I was like, "I would like a Coke Zero, please." And it's like, I figure, wow, this is fast. We are up in the air. I'm getting my soda so. Yeah, it takes a while. Yeah, it takes a while. This is like, depending on where you're sitting and where you are, I don't like it.
So do you?
I like the cart.
So in this particular instance, your love for Alaska has not been usurped in a good word for those who pay attention.
Everybody's cool on Southwest. Had no complaints.
Do you hear you might have been one of the last people with is it non-assigned seating right now?
Yeah. Well, there was some chatter going on because people were asking the flight attendants, like, what's it going to be? And they were like, we don't know. It's going to disrupt everything we do.
Southwest, man, you might have been the last one to experience something there, Justin.
They sounded like, though, it's not going to be for a while because they don't have the infrastructure set up for, but anyways.
Maybe they have to ease into it. Make people a little less PO.
There is a system on Southwest that may be going away, but it's a system that brings one of my theories, which is nobody can behave themselves at the airport. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the Blazers. We'll get to make or miss. That's all coming up next. 620 Rip City Radio. It is 8 a.m. on a Monday morning. Justin Myers with you. Team USA basketball opens up Olympic play with a victory over Nikola Jokic and Serbia, 110-84. Kevin Durant drops in 23 points. LeBron with 21. But the other story, Jason Tatum, along with Tyrese Halliburton, did not play. Coach's decision. Steve Kerr says he will definitely be playing against South Sudan as they take on them Wednesday. The Dallas Cowboys have lost star defensive end Sam Williams to the season with a torn ACL in training camp. Speaking of training camp, Oregon State open up camp this week as they get ready for the 2024 season. Coming up, hour number 3 of Rip City Mornings here on 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, welcome back to Rip City Mornings, everybody. 20 minutes from now, we have got Make or Miss. 45 minutes from now, we have got the RCM mailbag. You know, I've had this theory, and I talk about how I wish someone would do psychological observations, not studies, but or sociological, I guess I should say. Because there is something about airports, there is something about air travel that just, for whatever reason, people just do not act like normal people in society act. And I'm fascinated by this. I'm almost to the point where I'm beyond irritated. Yes, there are some irritations, but I am almost beyond. And I think it has almost everything to do with TSA. Now, I remember a time when TSA existed, but it wasn't the TSA that we know now. By the way, let me just throw this out real quick. Brenden, my wife makes fun of me because when it comes to clothing, I'm kind of a minimalist. You may find this hard to believe. I have one pair of jeans. These jeans that you see me wear, I wear these jeans every day.
One pair?
I wash them. Not every day, but you know what I mean.
You don't have like a nicer pair?
These are my jeans.
Interesting.
These are my nice jeans. These are my everyday jeans. I do have work pants. I don't do work in these jeans.
Yeah, I have like a work jeans, regular jeans, and some nice jeans, which is kind of interesting.
So I have one pair. I have one pair of jeans. I wear them till they go away, till they develop some sort of wear and tear, and then you know what I do? I buy a new pair of jeans. And, you know, I wear them in the morning. I go home. I go to the gym after the show. So I only, it's not like I wear them all day and then. Anyways, wife makes fun of me because I have one pair of jeans and I've got about 9 or 10 regular shirts that are just in the rotation. I get up very early. I don't want to have to think about what to wear. I know every day. Oh, by the way, socks, I have one type of sock that I wear. Black Nike crew socks. It's the only sock I have. I've got 15 to 20 pair. Yeah, I've got some dress socks for when I have to put a suit on and stuff. And I am a Gen Xer, so I've got some ankle socks. But for the most part, same kind of socks, same kind of underwear, one pair of jeans. I don't need variety in my life because I get up at 4:30 in the morning and I don't want to have to think. Now, that being said, how is it when I walk through the machine, it's the scanner at the airport, stand there, put your feet where the yellow feet are, arms up. Zzz, zzz. So I walk through the scanner, I go Portland, and I'm flying to Indy. Walk through, scan. Same pair of jeans I wear every day. And I am not exaggerating for the radio. I've been known to do that in the past. I am not exaggerating. Most intrusive frisk I've ever gotten. This TSA agent got all up in my business. And I've always been like, I'm like, dude, do what you got to do. I don't care. Like some people, they throw a fit. Some people want to argue. I'm like, whatever. I'm comfortable. Just do it. But even me, a guy who was like, they're like, oh, we have to pat like your backs. I don't care. Pat it to see if there's nothing in my back pocket. Brenden, the most intrusive pat down I've ever gotten to where I was almost to like, I'm like, dude, are you doing this on purpose? Like what? And so I did this knowing that I brought one pair of jeans because it was a 24-hour, day and a half long trip to Indy. So as I go to Indianapolis, I'm preparing myself. I'm like, obviously, there's something with these jeans, something with these pants that just it triggers the system. I'm gonna have to get the whole pat down. I go to Indy, fly out, and they're like, yep, you're good. Go ahead and go. How is it with seemingly the same equipment that I got in one airport, the most intrusive karate chop to the inseam, if you know what I'm saying? You ever got the karate chop to the inseam? The guy's like, oh, it's going to be back of the hand, blah, 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 blah. Do you want a private room? I'm like, no, just do it, dude. Let's go. And I'm figuring I'm going to get like, a couple of front pockets, couple of back. This dude, karate chop to the inseam. How is it that I can get that crazy intrusive, wearing the same pants in one airport, and then I go to another airport, and they're like, yep, you're fine. Go ahead. What are we doing here? So that being said, I do think because getting through security is so stressful, when you get to the other side, everybody just acts a fool. Like, nobody knows how to walk at an appropriate pace anymore. Nobody pays attention to anyone in their surrounding areas. People are just walking on their phone, standing on the people mover, the trams, and so then I go to Southwest. Now this, again, you all have heard me complain and so much about gate hoverers. Like, you're in boarding group D. It's going to be a while. Where are you at on people that use their bag as a buffer in the chairs? You know how, like, you're at the gate and you get there, I don't know about you, I get there a little bit early.
If there's no other seats, I don't mind it. Or if there are other seats, I don't mind it. If it's packed, I'd maybe like to sit down. But then I also realize I'm sitting for a whole flight, so then I kind of just tell myself it's better to stand.
Okay.
But fair point, because
still, it's like,
I feel it.
Not courteous of your common flight companions.
Then again, I've also done that before, where I put my bag on a
Put
seat.
your bag there. It's like, don't sit next to me.
Yeah, I'm like, just kind of like,
I will put my bag there, and then if I see it starting to fill up, I'll grab it and I'll move it. Go ahead, sit there. But we're not talking about that. So Southwest, as we talked about, they have a very specific way of boarding the plane. And they tell you this, like, oh, we're here at Southwest. We board the plane very differently, and blah, blah, blah. Like, they give you the whole spiel. It's very simple. Have you ever done the Southwest pick your own seat thing?
Yes. So I haven't flown Southwest in probably 10 years.
Okay.
But I very much remember the whole, you board in a group, everyone kind of picks your own seat. No one sits next to each other, even though people should. They're like, oh, yeah, the middle seat's going to be open. No, it won't be.
There's A, B, and C, right? A, 1 through 30. And then there's A, 31 through 60. It's very simple. If you're in boarding group A, you would line up, and they even give you little markers on where to stand. And in those little markers is 5 positions. It's a line. Not only is it a line, but it's a line where you have an assigned spot. I took 4 flights. Portland to Denver, Denver to Indy, Indy to Denver, Denver back to Portland. I took 4 flights. Every single time. 4 out of 4. That's a good day at the plate if you're a Major League Baseball hitter. 4 for 4. Somebody screwed up the line order and tried to board ahead of their number. How are we still doing? You have a number. Now, no big deal. I was in the boarding group A because I learned the secret, which is set an alarm 24 hours, because if you check in right at 24 hours, that's when you get in the good boarding groups. So, boom, set the alarm, got the good boarding groups. I'm in boarding group A. No big deal. Also, I have a backpack. I don't need an overhead bin because I had to check the radio gear because it was too big to carry on.
It is bulky.
It is bulky. That was a little bit of a minor panic attack. Like I told you.
It's funny. I actually.
It's like I check it, and every time I check a bag, and I check bags all the time. I am a bag check guy. You always have that little bit like, did they lose my stuff? But
it's kind of funny.
Didn't lose it.
So, ironically, Justin, the only other time I've traveled via plane with remote radio equipment was when I went to broadcast the Final Four in Indianapolis for the women's team back in 2016 or 16. Yeah. So that's kind of funny. You and I both went and took remote equipment to Indianapolis some 8 years apart. But I very much remember we were student media at the time. So that expensive tie line that you've seen, Justin, expensive piece of remote equipment that allows us to be able to go do things places.
It's unbelievable, the technology.
But again, not cheap, not something you can just go pick up at your local Radio Shack. And I remember our director saying, you take that with you and never let it out of your sight. So we had to carry it on as our carry-on. And I remember them being like, that probably is too big for a carry-on. We're like, nobody. We're just like begging as kids back then.
Well, because
funny how that works.
Here was the other thing. So again, the Southwest thing. So the radio equipment I had was two. There's two cases. I also had to bring, I know I bring one pair of jeans, but I had clean underwear and some toothpaste. And so I had my backpack. They are, and as they should be, by the way, very adamant about 1 + 1 = 2. You do not get more than 2 carry-ons. You get 2. That's it. If you have more than 2, you will be asked to consolidate. You will be pulled out of line. Did I see somebody pulled out of line? Yeah, they did. Because they tried to bring backpack, rolly, and purse. And they're like, yeah, that's 3. Like, you only get 2. Them's the rules. But yeah, I was once again fascinated by the human condition, which is I am now checked in. I am now through security. I am in the airport. I just do whatever I want. There's no consequences anymore. This is a people-moving tram. It's designed to help people get to their connections. In the Denver airport, where there's a gajillion gates. You ever been to Denver airport? Gigantic.
I've heard the
so big.
I've heard the conspiracies beneath the Denver
I didn't
airport.
see any of those, but it's the big.
That's why it's so big. Just Google it sometime.
I had to get 30 gates. 30 gates in about 20 minutes. People standing on the anyways, all that being said, it was a fun trip. Good to go. Airports are weird, though. You have a number assigned in a line. Can't just get into it.
True.
1 pair of pants, 1 search, 1 no search. What are we doing? What are we doing? How is this a thing? All right. You know what is a thing? Make or miss. We'll talk some sports. That's coming up next. 620 Rip City Radio. By the way, this song got me thinking. Have you watched the Lou Pearlman thing on Netflix yet?
The what?
It was called Dirty Pop. Lou
No, I
Pearlman,
don't
the
think I
guy.
have.
So there's the guy. Lou Pearlman was his name, and the alleged story was that he was a guy who leased private jets, and he saw New Kids on the Block in the '80s, wondering in like the early '90s, going like, boy, how are these guys so popular? And realized that it was the boy band phenomenon. So he created and financially backed the Backstreet Boys, and then said, well, Procter & Gamble doesn't only make one kind of soap, so then he made NSYNC, and
I did not know that. I'll have to look at that.
then it turns out, spoiler alert, he was a crook and stole all their money. And then they all went to court and sued each other.
Well, that seems to be what happens in the music industry more times than not, Justin.
And it was like, and also, again, spoiler alert, but turns out he never really rented private jets. He made it all up.
There's a lot of make-believe in this.
He had a
But I'll
blimp.
have to watch it. You
Yeah.
said Dirty Pop?
Dirty Pop. It was basically his whole fortune was built on an insurance scam. But it is interesting. And it also does take you back to about like 1997, which is pretty cool. That being said, right now we're going to live in the moment. And it is a special third-hour edition of Make or Miss. Here we go.
All right, firing up Make or Miss here on a Monday.
Yeah, it's Monday.
I'm like
I
trying to
know
figure
the days.
I know,
starting.
right? I feel like after Justin and I's adventure, him being physically at Big Ten Media Day, me being physically in this chair for far longer than I wanted to be. Yeah, I feel like my entire week. Did you kind of have that too? Everything just kind of blurred together this weekend.
Okay, and I know I've been talking about travel a lot today, and I apologize for those that are like, enough, we get it. But I was telling you before the show, tip of the cap and ultimate respect for people who travel for their job. I don't know how you do it. I am a home base guy. I love the studio. I like my own bed. I like my own food. And you guys could probably tell, I'm a bit of a routine guy. I love my routine. It brings me comfort. It brings me joy. I do not know how people travel for work. And how do you eat? Do you have to plan everything out? Sitting around on airplanes, all of that stuff. Because one whirlwind trip, which people do all the time, a couple times a week, I was wiped. I was exhausted. So tip of the cap to all of you who are out there grinding it out on the road. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. I don't know how you do it. But it is Monday, yes.
Nevertheless, let's go ahead and fire up Make or Miss, Justin. All these QBs getting paid, and Patrick Mahomes is like, I'll just take less and keep making the Chiefs better.
Well, and he's going to take less and then get it on the back end, right? Isn't
Maybe.
that what we kind of anticipate?
Maybe, but at the same token, it was interesting because...
All right, so let me ask you this. All right, so first off, let's set the scene. Jordan Love just got paid, right? Tua just got paid. Dak is on the list for quarterbacks to get paid, even though it's going to be his third contract, right? Lamar Jackson got paid last year. Burrow got paid last year. Herbert got paid. Josh Allen got paid. Anybody else I'm missing? Trevor Lawrence he got paid, I think, or is about to be paid.
Jared Goff.
If you're a quarterback and you did not have a ring, if you are Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow.
Kyler Murray makes stupid money,
He
too.
really does.
Absolutely.
But let's talk about quarterbacks that are really good at it. They could win a Super Bowl. No offense, Kyler.
Daniel Jones makes stupid money.
Like $40 million a year.
Just
Daniel Jones
stupid
does.
money. Just stupid money.
But-
Derek Carr makes more than Aaron Rodgers. I mean, there are some interesting ones out
All
there.
right, hold on. Let me rename these again. So, because I do have a specific. If you are in this group, this is Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Basically, the best quarterbacks in the league. I'll throw Tua in there. Tua Tagovailoa. You got 7 unbelievably good quarterbacks that I just named off there. None of which have a ring because you are in the world of Patrick Mahomes right now. None of which have a ring. A couple in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson and Justin Herbert, famously now moving into the can they get it done in the playoffs. Oh, along with Dak Prescott. If you're any one of those quarterbacks, would you take less money to try to help your team out? Or are you just like, no, this is my value. I've only got so many rides on this roller coaster. I get as much money as possible. If you were any of those 7 guys, do you take less money? Do you give the team a team-friendly discount the way that Tom Brady did for years and years and years, and he won his rings, but only to be kicked right out of the door in New England?
I think that I just think there should be more guys, especially with how ridiculous money is now, Justin. You don't need, and maybe this, and that's what I was going to say, like at the beginning of this Make or Miss too, was like, take a look at what Jalen Brunson just did. And in the most players league that we know, by far, a player openly said, I'm going to take 20 million less, not 50 million less, 100 million less, because I want the best chance for my team to win. Before Tom Brady, it was unheard of to do this. So I like that there are now guys who are humble enough, Justin, to go, I've made my money. The difference between $50 million more, it's like, it's not going to change the size of mansion I'm already in.
Well, I wonder, though, what 68-year-old Jalen Brunson's going to think about that decision. Do you know what I mean?
If you invest well and don't live beyond your means,
sure,
it shouldn't be a problem.
That's what I'm saying. But I wonder. That's why the Jalen Brunson thing is crazy because, like, Jason Tatum and, like, those guys have proven you can get paid max money and you can still win. Now, the second apron makes it harder. In basketball, it's going to ultimately be harder.
They proved they could do it before.
But in the past, obviously, Steph Curry and Kevin Durant got paid and they got to win, right? In the NBA, you get to get paid and you get to win. And other than Patrick Mahomes, there's not many quarterbacks getting paid who are also winning. So I'm just wondering if you are in that list of 7 guys without rings, do you take less than your market value?
I mean,
so that you could have what?
Just better
an elite pass rusher, so that you could have a game-changing tight end.
See, I think it just
a weapon.
I just think it works on so many levels, Justin. So let's just look at like Patrick Mahomes, right? So not only do you endear yourself to your fan base and more than you already are, because your fan base is like, what a dude, right? Like every time we've heard about Mahomes, it's always just clap, like what a dude. Secondly, Justin, we've always talked rising tide lifts all boats as far as contracts go in an NFL locker room, but quarterbacks are still ridiculously skewed. I'd be willing to bet. Now I'm trying to remember the Chiefs' defensive lineman, Chris Jones.
Chris Jones, yeah,
who had held out for. I bet you there is a one hand washes the other kind of a thing where he's just like, Patrick, I appreciate you taking a little bit less so I could get what I needed. Right? And so 2 players can get paid like stars rather than 1. So I think that disseminates down a locker room better. And that's why, again, we talk about how the Chiefs have been able to do crazy things these last couple years. This last year, most impressively, they got, crushed by, not crushed, but lost convincingly to Antonio Pierce in the third to final regular season week, and they won Super Bowl champs. Why? Because I think that locker room just works, man.
Okay, so let me ask you this, though. It's easier. I don't think it's ever easy to give up that kind of money.
I don't think it's easy.
I think it's easier, though, when you're Tom Brady and you've had a couple of rings. When you are Patrick Mahomes and you have 3 rings, right? If Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have never won a Super Bowl, do you think he takes less money? Or because he's on legacy play now.
He didn't get that contract until he won the first one. So it's hard.
That's what I'm saying.
Hard for me
That's what I'm saying. If he never won that first one, if
Jimmy Garoppolo could throw a pass?
Or ran the ball.
Yep.
Because you had the lead.
Another Shanahan running the ball.
Exactly. If the 49ers would have just ran the ball and Mahomes never wins that one. Does he take less money? I don't know.
Because he's done it
Because I
now.
do think it is easier. It's like I've got my rings and now I can take less money because now I can keep this whole thing going.
Because he won that was the COVID Super Bowl. That was the Super Bowl held in February. COVID happened in March.
A month and a half later.
Everybody's like, well, at least the Super Bowl parade was in Kansas City and not downtown San Francisco. I remember that like it was just yesterday. But nevertheless, it just with the timing of that, it makes you wonder, like, the Chiefs would have probably gotten back there, but Mahomes has restructured his contract, taken less twice since then.
Yeah.
If he didn't
But
get that first ring, it's a good question.
I don't know. So that's where I think I'm fascinated by.
Do you think that Tom
by Josh Allen,
Yeah.
Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Dak Prescott, Tua, Trevor Lawrence. Did I say Joe Burrow yet? Joe Burrow. Those guys. Think about that. Like there's so many really good. Any of those guys, in all honesty, could win MVP of the league. Any of those guys. None of them have a ring. And they're all getting paid. Do you think any of those guys would take less money if offered?
Well, here's the other part of that I want your take on too is Tom Brady an enigma in this? Because, like, I don't know about Patrick Mahomes. And anybody in the first round, Justin, if you get drafted in the first round as a quarterback, even if you're Mitch Trubisky, you are going to make enough money over 6 years to live a comfortable life.
Yes.
Right? You can be like, honey, we got one contract. We just got to live off $35 million for the rest of our days. All right, sounds good. My question is, I wonder if Tom Brady is a bit of an enigma, being the late draft pick that he was, to where Tom Brady, I think even going into like his first training camp is like, yeah, I'm not sure this football thing's going to work out. Might be the Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Insurance Agency.
It's true.
And has said that do you think, like, if you go into it thinking you're not, and maybe Tom Brady never thought he was going to be a bazillionaire, right? Maybe he's like, maybe I make a living at football, or maybe Tom Brady was so competitive, he's like, I'm going to be the greatest of all time when he left Michigan. I don't know.
Well, he is. He's the crazy person that went to Robert Kraft as a 7th round draft pick, said, I'm the best decision you've ever made.
But maybe winning was his money in that case. Like, people say all the time, money's my drug. Maybe winning was his drug in that particular case, Justin.
You want to play a fun game?
Sure.
Mitch Trubisky career earnings.
Okay,
you mentioned Mitch Trubisky as a guy who, first round draft, I think it was number 5 overall, I think.
2.
He was 2 overall?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Anyways, he's number 2 overall.
Yeah. Mitch.
Not a starting caliber quarterback. Without looking it up, any guess as to right now, he's a current member of the Buffalo Bills as their backup to Josh Allen. Current career earnings for Mitch Trubisky.
I did not look that up, but I looked up his draft just because I had to see it again. Christian McCaffrey, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
All taken after him. Anyway, back to this. I'm going to guess, so what, as a rookie, you get like $6 million a year. The Bears cut him after year 3. I'm going to go like 25?
$45.9 million.
Okay, so that
for Mitch Trubisky.
So the Mrs. Trubisky, I'm sure he's probably married. Yeah, they're right now saying, honey, it's gonna be real hard for me to ever get a chance.
So his rookie deal is 4 years, $29 million.
Okay, so that's more than I thought it was. Okay, so he was all guaranteed.
But then the Steelers paid him $7 million per for 2 years.
Yeah, I have a feeling
to bench him.
Yeah, I have a feeling for ultimately Mason Rudolph. But I have a feeling right now, Justin, that Mitch is. Did you said he's back in Buffalo?
He's back in Buffalo.
So that's where he was when the Steelers grabbed him. He might be a fine backup Q, but you know this, Justin, as well as me. Nowadays, these NFL teams just. Whether it was,
but do these quarterbacks owe it to the organization
to take less?
Yeah, Like, this is the cost of doing business, right? This is what we get paid. This is what the market value is. It's your job to go and find diamonds in the rough and to find value elsewhere. I'm the quarterback now. Like Captain Now.
Great reference.
I don't know.
I think it's.
I do feel like it's a bit disingenuous to be like, these billionaires can't, like, it's not the quarterback's job to take less.
It's not can't, in my opinion. I think it's all just salary cap, right? Because if there was no salary cap and the richest teams could just build, I'd be like, yeah, pay your guy the most, and if you're the richest owner, pay all the rest of your guys.
We've played this game before. No salary cap. 5-year deal. Who gets paid the most money?
Patrick Mahomes.
Still Mahomes?
He's young
over
enough.
CJ Stroud?
I still would go with Mahomes.
Who would be second place? CJ Stroud? Joe Burrow?
Not Josh Allen, as crazy as it sounds.
I think CJ Stroud.
Yeah.
No salary cap? Next 5 years?
Yeah, probably.
If it's like college football NIL money, right? If CJ Stroud could just transfer anywhere he wanted next year for unlimited NIL.
Probably.
He's like,
probably.
He's got to be behind Patrick. As crazy as it sounds.
I mean, Joe Burrow's there. Someone would probably say Justin Herbert's there because as far as
Josh Allen, all those guys, but
like the age difference is there. But correct me if I'm wrong. The Texans didn't win a playoff game, right? They just made did they win a play? I'm having a hard time recalling if they won or just made it.
I believe they just made it, but regardless,
let's look at this real quick.
The fact that they made it, they beat the Colts, right?
No, they beat the Browns in the wild card.
They beat the Browns.
That's right. The Browns, who we all thought could run to the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco.
Yeah. So,
they got
CJ Stroud, as a rookie, took over a team that I believe won 3 games the year before.
And if I'm correct.
It took them to the playoffs. Now, again, also other factors. It wasn't just CJ Stroud, but
Justin Herbert has not won a playoff game, right?
I'm well aware.
No, I'm just.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
So, that's what's going to be my argument was.
28-0 lead.
Well, yeah.
Had a 28-0 lead.
Yeah, that wasn't
his fault.
That cost Brandon Staley's job. Well, not immediately.
Last year,
not
then on top of it.
But yes. But no,
didn't help his job.
That was where I was going to go next is like if CJ Stroud had not won a playoff game, you could have had him and Herbert, him and Hurts on footing, but to have a rookie win like that is, I think, impressive. But just to wrap up the thought on this overall, I just wonder if we're going to see. Again, we're never going to have a non-salary cap in the NBA or NFL, so don't worry about that. But I just wonder if there would ever be a legal way, Justin, to start working the Ohtani way into football, where Mahomes is like, yeah, $400 million. Why don't you guys just pay me that when I'm retired?
You can't. I don't think you can do that with salary cap. I don't think it's allowed in the collective bargaining.
So again, I'm not knee deep into the collective bargaining.
Because wasn't that the accusation? Because Dirk Nowitzki was not getting paid the max in Dallas, but Mark Cuban was funding the Dirk Nowitzki documentary.
Okay.
It was like, there's
attempted.
like on the back end, technically this isn't a basketball contract, but I will also, as a side gig, pay you $14 million for the rights for your documentary, which is essentially circumventing the salary cap.
I'm down for creativity. Mark Cuban's a creative guy.
Quickly, 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Same question. No salary cap. 5-year deal. Who in the NBA gets the biggest deal right now? Is it still Jason Tatum?
Wemby.
Yeah, it's Wemby. It is. It's
you
Wemby.
Look at the biggest alien out there.
It's 100% Wemby. All right.
I would give Wemby. I'd say, you want $1 billion contract, Wemby? Sure.
Yeah. There you go. Fantastic make or miss. Hey, you know what tomorrow is? It's Tuesday. Tuesday has no field, but you know what it does have? Oh, tickets. That's right. Winning streak is alive for Ticket Tuesday here on Rip City Radio. Exclusive tickets to the Hillsboro Hops all season long. Listen to Rip City Drive every Tuesday afternoon for your chance to win and get your Hops tickets now at hillsborohops.com. RCM mailbag next to wrap up the big show. 620 Rip City Radio. Hey, great show, everybody. Way to go. Time to wrap up our Monday edition. We do that the same way each and every day with the RCM mailbag. Random questions, any subject, any topic. Nothing is off limits, and I repeat, nothing is off limits. Here we go. Let's fire up the mailbag.
All right, firing the big mailbag here on a Monday.
Yes.
Justin, what's your take on ice? Do you like to put it in drinks? Do you like
Fan,
big
big
fat
fan.
ice? Do you like thin, like pebble ice is what
This
it's called?
This
Crushed
is something
ice?
I think I might be in the minority here. There are some people that are so very passionate about the size and shape of ice. I am not. Pebble ice, flat ice, cylindrical with the circle through the, you know what I mean? It looks like a little mini tube. You know, like I have no preference. If I went there and it was like, you can have pebble ice, you can have the little circles, you can have ice cubes, you can have the flat ice. I'm like, I don't care. But that being said, I am a fan. Keep my drink cold, please. I don't like. There is no room temperature drink for me. Either I want hot coffee or, you know, like you go to a restaurant and they have like just a bottle of water sitting out there at room temperature. You know, like you go there like, oh, here's some water for the table, and it's like room temperature water. I'm like, what are we doing? Can I get some ice, please? But I am not passionate about the pellet ice or the regular ice. I'm just not.
Yeah, I definitely.
There are some people, because you worked at Sonic.
I do.
And I know there are some people that swear, like they will only go to Sonic for soda or something because of the Sonic ice. I don't get it. It's not for me. But do you have like an ice preference?
Oh, yeah. Like,
yeah.
Cubed ice is disgusting. Gotta be crushed or pebble.
It's disgusting.
Yeah,
I
sacrilege.
have an ice machine in my freezer, and it gives the little half moons.
Oh yeah,
That's what I go
those
with.
are cool. Yeah, those are the ones I grew up with quite a bit too. But yeah, like after working at Sonic, man, no ice ever really compares.
So what do you think it is about the pebble? I cannot tell the difference. I really cannot. Actually, I think it would almost be worse because the pebble ice is going to melt faster and water down your drink.
So Sonic, Justin, I don't know if you know this, that is not the case because they put their drinks in styrofoam cups. Styrofoam cups hold temperature longer than any plastic or paper cup made, and I only know this because people around these parts, and, you know, I'll just be honest because I was there. I remember people telling a then 17, 18-year-old kid, like, oh, you know, you guys have styrofoam. And, you know, shout out Portland. I know where I am. But, like...
You're like, I didn't order it. I'm like, just serving you the cherry limeade. That's all I'm doing.
I'm like, y'all think I'm making this decision back in corporate Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, man? I'm like, yes, I get it. Styrofoam, like...
Also, like, the new styrofoam, isn't it? It's not like the same old styrofoam.
I think it's slightly better, but that stereotype with styrofoam... And, again, that's why, to my knowledge... And
so is it any worse than... I might be speaking out of turn. Is it any worse than plastic? You know what I mean?
Well, we don't... I'll say
is it any worse than plastic?
Yeah, I'll say this, Justin. We don't hear about the plastic or about the styrofoam in the oceans. We hear about the plastic in the oceans.
I think it's all kind of bad at some point, but...
But funny story, Justin, that's actually the reason from what I don't know if it's still the reason now, but it's a big reason back when I was still working there, why there was not a Sonic in Portland city limits. Because Portland city limits, restaurants cannot have styrofoam.
Really?
In any shape or form.
Okay.
At least that's how it was. May have changed, but back then it was always like, yep, Sonic is on the outskirts of Portland Metro because, you know, Sonic has had their styrofoam cups for years, and you have to pry them out of their hands, man. So, but I do believe that they help keep the drink a little bit cooler.
I believe it. Now, I have a weird thing with styrofoam. And again, I am pro-environment, and I try to do my part. I recycle, okay? I got a blue bin. But I really hate styrofoam because the squeak. The squeak of a styrofoam is worse than nails on a chalkboard to me. It's the worst sound in the world. You're like, if you could eliminate one sound in the world, it would be the squeak of a styrofoam cooler, or like even when you get like the styrofoam cup, like the Sonic cup, and you put it in like a cup holder, and it and it gives a little squeak. That's the worst sound for me.
See,
Maybe that's why I don't do the Sonic thing. It has nothing to do with the pebble ice. It's the styrofoam. I'm
That's
out.
fair. See, Justin, a Portlander, is acting like a real Portlander, hating styrofoam.
But it's the squeak, though.
I'm just kidding. But
it is the squeak.
To that point, yeah. I mean, let's continue on with that same narrative.
So the ice I have no preference.
Yeah. Like with that, because I was trying to figure out how to phrase what I wanted to say next. But like, let's continue on with those sounds, because I would push back and say, to me, the worst sound ever created is a metal fork going across a ceramic plate, like someone's eating dinner, right? Cutting like a steak or something. It gets to the steak on a plate. That's mine. I'm trying to think what else is just like the worst kinds of like sounds that could be made.
Well, like, where are you on people when they take a bite of their fork and then scrape the fork across the teeth?
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that either. Don't like that either. But again, just as Justin says often, I'm hard to please at certain times.
Yeah, no, it's squeaky styrofoam.
That's up there. Like
old school alarm clock. Like my regular alarm clock, I don't love it, but like the old school, you know what I'm talking about? Brown plastic wood grain clock radio, and it had a buzzer to it. Then everybody had the same buzzer. Oh, I hate that sound. Oh, that one is. That one's brutal.
Those were probably the most significant ones. I mean, we'll just stick on this as we just got about 30 seconds left. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. You and I have known this one, Justin, and one that we would have to share with most of the listening audience, but microphone feedback. Like for you and
that
I,
was bad.
When you're hearing yourself and you don't like, and it's delayed or not perfectly timed up. Oh my! It has given me
microphone feedback is terrible. That's one of the worst. You're right,
and it's something we have to deal with occasionally.
Not much, thankfully, though.
Yes, but
but you do like the live events, and you get that microphone feedback.
Yep. Ooh. I only know this because when we were game planning and gearing up for Thursday, as we finally get on the air, and those who listened to the show on Thursday knew how much of a journey it was to get on the air. I think we had 4 minutes to spare, Justin, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely like when I mentioned to you and you're like, oh, I was talking to you. You're like, oh, is that feedback? Like, is that going to be there? I'm like, no, you're just hearing yourself.
Yeah,
because you're like, I can't do this for 3 hours.
I can't do this for 3 hours. But hopefully this show has been a pleasant sound to all of you. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks to Joel Gunderson. Thanks to super producer Brenden. Thanks to all of you. Have a terrific Monday. We're back at it tomorrow morning, bright and early here on 620 Rip City Radio.